Yay! I'm so excited to be here today with Karen. Karen, our work together has been so fun. As you know, I thoroughly enjoy collaborating together over these last 6 months, and you've had some really great momentum and really great health transformation. So I'd love to celebrate you today and have you share a little bit more about, how has this experience been? Just kind of really saying yes to yourself and yes to your health and partnering together.
Thank you. Yes, I feel completely the same way, and I'm very excited to share my experience and the outcomes that I've had, and in hopes that it would help someone else.
Yeah, thank you. Well, would you want to share with us, like, what was the situation like in your health before, and perhaps what were, two or three of the most notable changes that you've experienced in these last several months?
Yeah. So I think what ultimately brought me to wanting to really get serious about my health was, just I had gotten in a pretty big rut, largely around the same time as the pandemic started. I'm not sure if it was related to that or not, but or just maybe the age, sort of getting older. But I definitely noticed some very significant and unexplained weight gain. Probably about 30 to 35 pounds in about a year.
Mm.
And with that, I had a lot of just really negative feelings and emotions and shame, that I was sort of stewing in, I would say, pretty consistently. Would try all of the techniques, or methods in the past that I'd used to lose weight, and nothing was working. So that was ultimately, I think, what got me pretty frustrated. In addition, just going to the doctor on a regular basis and doing normal lab work. I did notice too that some things were coming back elevated, right? Like things like cholesterol, or my blood pressure was higher than normal, right? And
Mhm.
getting to be, I guess, over 40, I think I'm a little bit more in tune with really just wanting to make sure that I'm healthy and energetic and living my best life, and being the best mom that I can be. So um just really felt a sense of urgency to not continue to feel physically and emotionally bad, and also want to avoid, hopefully, any sort of significant disease down the road. So I figured now is the time, and have always really valued your insights and your knowledge. And I thought I've always been a bit intrigued about this program, so I thought this is the time to do it.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about that, right? It's kind of like getting ahead of the curve, and especially you're a mom of three, right? You're busy, you busy life,
Hmm.
you work full time, so you know what it's
Yes.
like to try and juggle one more thing to fit prioritizing your health in
Right.
when life seems full, right? So
Absolutely.
again, I want to applaud you because you are one of those people who said, "Listen, I'm going to take that initiative, and I do want to prioritize this." Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, can you
Yeah.
share
Thank
what
you.
are, specifically, what are two or three of the biggest changes that you have noted?
Yeah. So I mean, I did, as I mentioned, the weight gain, I think, is what prompted me, and I have lost some weight. I've probably lost about 15 pounds, and I'm, on a downward trajectory, so that's great.
Yeah.
But I think more than that, I think I just generally feel more energetic overall.
Mhm.
Um, Through the program, we go through periodic touch bases of a symptom check. And it was so interesting. And I know I've shared this with you before, Amanda, but going through that list of symptoms, so many of what is included, I think most people think is totally normal, right?
Normal.
Most people
Yes.
think it's normal to be fatigued, or to have digestion issues, or allergies, or headaches, right? Like,
Mhm.
people think that's so normal. Just take Advil, take allergy medicine, call it a day, right?
Mhm.
So I think that was really eye opening, to just have that revelation that no, these things that I think our society conditions us to think are normal are not normal, and it's not our best life, right?
Mhm.
Through that process, again, learning that these are not normal symptoms, and implementing some of the changes that we did, through the 6 months, I did experience a decrease, I guess, of I
Oh,
think
yeah.
60%, right?
Yeah.
So, little things too. I mean, things like clearer skin, or less fatigue, or better digestion, or
Mhm.
acne, or again, headaches. things that, again, that I guess previously I would have thought, that's no big deal. I just have to live with that. You know,
Uh-huh.
not to say that everything is perfect every single day, but much more reduced. And when I do notice, it's interesting, when I do notice maybe some of those symptoms popping back up, I'll very quickly kind of realize, oh, okay, maybe I wasn't taking, zinc as an example, right? So it's now prompting me to just really realize that that importance of sticking to that plan. But and then mostly I think just energy and mentality. I think that that's a benefit I didn't anticipate with your program. I kind of assumed it would be all about maybe nutrition. So much of it is not just nutrition, right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of it's your mentality. And I've always been a believer that that's really, really important.
Mhm.
But to not kind of beat myself up and
Mhm.
continue with some of the negative thought patterns I think that I was having, or and I was in, I think is actually just as much of a benefit, because now I know, hey, if it maybe I did, I sort of fell off the wagon, if you will, in terms of ate in a way that I didn't want to, in the past, I think I'd really beat myself up over it, and now I
Mhm.
don't, right? I just say, oh, tomorrow's a new day, right? Or dinner's the next meal. So I
Yes.
just you gave me, I think, grace, and like sort of the permission, I guess, to give yourself grace, and the awareness that it's really detrimental to your health and to your overall goals, to sort of berate yourself. Though I think the way that I was, and that I think a lot of people do.
Yes, thank you for saying that because I think that's so key. It's not about being perfect. Like that's not
Yeah,
living your life for the rest of your life. It's about having grace and having distinctions. Like you said, I've learned so much about, oh, well, what I go back to and what works and what my body does well with. You are in
sure.
control. You have empowered like actions to take, right?
Yep,
That's
exactly,
a big part of it.
exactly.
Awesome. One more question I have for you is, did you have any resistance or any thoughts, because let's be honest, it's an investment, right? Of the
Yes,
time and financially
yes,
to to step forward into an invitation like this. So did you have any
yes.
thoughts that you were like, oh, I'm not really sure, or hesitations? And if so, what allowed you to step through that?
Sure. I did. Yeah, absolutely. And, you and I have talked about, I've known you for years, right? We've talked about working together for a while. I think it's a few different things. I mean, I do think certainly money, of course, is always significant, but I am a big believer that, again, you've got to invest. It's an investment that's worth it. So that probably wasn't the biggest barrier. I think it was a few different things. I think one was maybe fear of consistency,
Mhm.
um, and thinking that if I do this, I have to be perfect. And
Mhm.
I don't think I'll be able to be perfect, right? And then I'll be like disappointing, right? Like I'll be disappointing you or myself, and I would have failed. So I do think it was preconceived notions that this program sort of doesn't allow for, anything less than ideal, and that couldn't be more the case, to be honest. So like I said, I think that was probably the biggest surprise, is that yes, there are recommendations, and more than recommendations, knowledge for why, um, sort of eating this way, or thinking this way, or just the habits, why that is so necessary for our bodies. um, but really, really better understanding, um, why that is, how it all works. But like I said, it's also just this recognition that we're not robots. We are human, and we're not always going to do it exactly as we should. So um, I think that ultimately what got me to overcome it was also for years of just putting myself on the back burner, and feeling like recognizing that's not working, recognizing that, um, I'm my health is too important, my well-being is too important, my mentality, all of it, right? Like I am kind of done not feeling my best. And I just really wanted to make a change, and I really wanted to learn, and felt that I was just ready to do it.
I love that. Yes, it's so key, right? Is that readiness of saying, now is my time and I'm ready for
Yes.
this.
Yes,
Okay. What would you say to
absolutely.
somebody who's thinking about taking that step forward and really getting
Yeah.
investing in the support for themselves?
I would say that you're worth it, first and foremost. I think that your well-being and health is and happiness is worth, the monetary investment. It's worth any, the sacrifices. It's worth the commitment. Um, and that you don't have to struggle and get alone. I think that was another piece is I think I sort of assumed, oh, maybe it's this, or oh, it's just because I maybe don't eat the best, right? Um, in my head, I had assumptions about what could be the root cause, and it's like, why guess and why go it alone, right? When I mean, you're this amazing, amazing resource that you really can't get, I think, in sort of the conventional medical community these days, right? I think it's much more about addressing symptoms versus looking at root causes, and again, and also, sort of in specialty areas, right? Like you've got so much comprehensive functional knowledge that I mean, I think you're as best positioned as anybody I know to really help um, explain what's going on with your body, what are the root causes, and what you specifically can do, what would be most impactful for you to see results.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Karen, for sharing your
You're
inspiration and
welcome.
your success. We'll continue to cheer you on and so happy for you.
Thank you. And thank you. Thank you. Honestly, like um I mean, this program, you were impressive. Like I said, your positivity, your expertise, um, your focus, in terms of in the sessions, there have been so many examples I can think of where we'll talk about something and then you very quickly ask a really targeted question to sort of either to get to the root of it or to get me to identify what specifically should I be doing, right? So I think you are a master at what you do. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.